end of the regular session tonight, because we will continue all of these to the end of your regular session, pick back up with closed session, and finish that off at the end of the evening tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So this begins, we're going to pretend that says 5:30, the 5:30 meeting. It's really 5:50, we see that. We're going to call this to order. This is the May 28th regular City Council meeting. May we have a Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Lamb, will you lead us, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for the moment of reflection from Councilmember Carnevale.
Thank you, Mayor. Gracious and loving Creator, we come before you today with gratitude for the opportunity to serve you, to serve our community as we gather to make decisions that affect the lives for many. We ask your guidance. Grant us wisdom that seeks the common good, compassion that sees the needs for every neighbor, and courage to speak with honesty and listen with humility. May our differences not divide us, but deepen our understanding of one another. Unite us in purpose, strengthen our commitment to justice, peace, and mutual respect. Bless Cathedral City, its leaders and workers, and every resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both. City Clerk, can you please call roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Carnevale?
Here.
Councilmember Lamb?
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Here.
Mayor Ross?
I am here, thank you. And will you now read the consent agenda, please?
Mayor, actually...
No, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped right past public comment because I knew it was going to take time. No, I'm sorry, so sorry. Public comment, and then we'll read the consent agenda. Thank you.
And then City Manager, just to make sure we have no changes to the agenda?
As the attorney indicated, we'll complete the closed session items at the end of the meeting.
Council reports, I got you.
Public comment is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are within the City Council's jurisdiction but not on the agenda. Because of restrictions contained in California law, the City Council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask a question for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response from staff to questions raised during public comment or request that a matter be agendized for a future meeting. Public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If you are a member of the public and wish to address the City Council, please complete a request to speak form available at the entrance and submit it to the city clerk. You will be called upon at the appropriate time. If you have materials and other items to present to the members of the city council, please do not approach them. All items shall be presented to the city clerk for distribution. And Mayor, before I call on the public that's present, we did receive a written comment for the record. It was provided to you and summarized to you in the study session. It was the David Koslow's comment, and I will make it part of this record as well.
Thank you.
And we have, the first speaker is Michael Hayes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hayes.
Good afternoon, Mayor. This is Christina. Okay. I'm actually going to bring up this card. I don't know if those that live in the city, you got this in the mail. It's about Chief Crum and Sergeant Corwin DeVas and his treatment from Chief Crum, and it's just amazing because I totally agree with this guy. Chief Crum is probably one of the most dishonest persons I've ever dealt with. He refused to send in the evidence to the district attorney's office, and luckily I was able to talk to the district attorney, and she's very kind and described to me exactly what's going to happen. They're going to deal with what they have. I have no idea why the chief refused. Multiple times I requested that he send in the evidence of a hate crime, and it never made it there. There were several videos, and none of it was ever presented to them. So they're just going to go on for what they have. But yeah, Chief Crum, according to this officer, has a history of being dishonest. And so I just want to bring it up. And it also mentions Sergeant John Anos, he's not here, and this character over here, Charlie. He's always in the mix. And so as part of your meeting today with David Koslow and another lawsuit against Cathedral City for Charlie putting out the same information during the election, when are we going to learn? Instead of replacing the city manager, perhaps with another city manager maybe we should replace it with a lawyer, because that's really what it just seems to be. One mistake after another mistake. It's costing the city a great deal of money, and it gives me no pleasure to come up here and say, yeah, I lost a battle, but I'm not going to lose the war with these people. And for whatever reason, they feel like they can be protected, and you guys can, not you guys, but the officers can stand beside them, and my rights are not valid. And my right granted by the Supreme Court in 2011 stated that I have a right to exist as a gay person in the city. And I feel like those went to the side. I ran for office. I tried to talk to Rita. I tried to talk to his character because it was so severe, what I was going through in my own home in 21 years. And here I am again, just to let you know that I'm really disappointed that we weren't able to get the evidence to the district attorney's office. And they, by the way, are fabulous. They're fantastic people. They listened to what the problem was. They described it to me. There was no hiding or missing phone calls or any kind of denial. They were totally upfront, and they were respectable, and they're very kind. So I just wanted to say that. Did you guys get this in the mail? If not, look for it. Second one, this came out at the election, and this one came in just the other day. The guy's spending money to get the word out.
Thank you, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you.
Are there any other members of the public that wish to comment on items not on the agenda? And I see none, Mayor.
Okay, we move on to council reports. We're going to start with Councilmember Carnevale.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. I was unable to give my council reports previous meeting, so I'll just recap them real quickly. I did attend the events at SCAG along with council members and Charlie at the conference. On the May 7th, I attended the Council and Planning Committee workshop, and then, of course, the State of the City. I was contacted by a homeless individual last week, and I passed information off to Officer Brooks, who got out and contacted him, and hopefully they got him shelter. I was asked if we were going to have a cooling center this year, and Ann sent me the information that along with the library, there's going to be a daytime cooling center for unsheltered, and if anybody wants to just save their electricity and go there and cool off, it's during the day. Check for the hours. They're kind of all over the place a little bit. CVRM is offering a free ride to their shelter in Indio. You could spend the night there all night, get some new clothes and some food, and spend the whole night there, but there is no transportation back. But I believe that the Sunline will give them some tickets to get back home. And then at CVAG with the homeless committee, there was a point in time, and Cathedral City came in with 49 unsheltered. I had a little bit of concern about that because they spent 4 hours on one day, and they came up with 49. And as we all know that, there's a lot of unsheltered that come out at evening. So I was hoping that next, I don't know if they're going to do it next year or 2 years now. They do it every 2 years, I believe, that they'll come out in the evening as well as during the day to get a better count what we have here and what we can do to help. I also attended the Esperanza ribbon cutting. It was what a beautiful park. I think the mayor said, right when she said, when I saw it on the map, it looked so small and thin. Then when you got there, it looked like a biscotti. Okay, I like biscotti. But when you got there and looked at it, it's just truly magnificent, state of the art, and it's just a beautiful park. And I hope good things happen there, along with the CV Link joined it to it. And then Councilman Gutierrez and myself, along with with Assistant Manager Ann and City Manager Charlie and John Corella, we listened to the CV Water District, what they're doing with their new flood controls, about 13 miles up the freeway west to prevent any flooding, hopefully in the future. And so that's a work in progress. It will be finished by the 26th, sometime in 26. A little slow going with some hang-ups there. And then also attended the two street namings at San Jacinto and Cathedral City High School. That always makes me feel good to see these young individuals, how bright they are and how eager they are to get out and face the world and have it at them. The world is their oyster. And I got to tell you, both of them were just so energetic and wonderful to see. What a good job that we're doing here in Cathedral City. And then I met with Ambrose and Charlie and Andy Feinstein. We discussed some historic preservation business. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Councilmember Gutierrez, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be really brief. Good evening. I hope everyone enjoyed their long weekend, Memorial Day weekend. And since we last met, one thing that is so beautiful is that this council does everything together. We attend grand openings, ribbon cuttings, and every event out there possible as a council. And when you go out there as a resident and you attend these meetings and events, you'll be shocked that not many cities actually have city staff and council sitting at the same table. There might be one or two from each city, but we represent the city well. And I said I was going to be brief. I did everything council member did. Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, we do a lot. I think between us, and I appreciate what the councilman says. We often attend in greater numbers than some of our neighboring cities, although we sometimes also spread out. So our last meeting was just 2 weeks ago, and I know everyone's been busy. After that event, the nonprofit I'm involved with had the Pride Prom over in Indio, and I mention it because a lot of Cathedral City groups were also involved, and the Cathedral City Police Officers Association supported, and the police chief was there along with our assistant city manager and other staffs on their own volunteer time to help, even though it was across on the other end of the valley. Usually we have it on this end of the valley. This year it was on the other end of the valley, and there were many others. Of course, Patsy was there, also a sponsor was there, and so Cathedral City really represented, and I think our city can be very proud of all that we have that are willing to help out our youth, whatever their needs are. So that same weekend, I actually attended with Councilmember Gutierrez a memorial birthday of one of our local residents, Patty Hagedorn. She was here earlier. You don't say how old a lady's age, but it was one of those milestone birthdays. So I know we were both happy to be able to represent, I don't want to say. So anyways, so it was good to see you, council member. We're all over the place. We run into each other here and there, even sometimes when it's not an official city event. And then on that Monday, May 19th, the League of Cities had their Riverside County, Imperial County division meeting. It was at Fantasy Springs over in Indio, and I was there along with the mayor, and the city manager also joined us, and we did hear from a local assembly member, Jeff Gonzalez, who represents primarily the Eastern Valley, of course, and also Imperial County and some others, and it was a joint meeting, so it was nice to be able to see some of our colleagues from all over the county and Imperial County there and listen to the speaker. And then the next day, on Tuesday, May 20th, I did go to Riverside for Riverside County Transportation Commission, which of course I represent the city there. I'm also the vice chair. The chair wasn't there, so I actually had to run a meeting that we had with the Secretary of Transportation, the California Secretary of Transportation, Secretary Omashakin. So we had a meeting where we focused only on Riverside County needs and functions. Since I was leading the meeting, there was a lot of discussion on Coachella Valley Rail. He later spoke at the Infrastructure Summit there in Riverside, which I also attended, and he did during his discussions talk about the need for the Coachella Valley Rail and other innovative projects like that, along with other innovative projects going on the other end of the county having to do with ramp metering and those kind of things. So that was good to hear it come back out of his mouth after you've talked to him about it. So I look forward to continuing to work with the state on all the issues involved with Coachella Valley Rail. And then, as has already been mentioned, I attended along with the rest of the council the grand opening of Esperanza Park. Our MC for the event was John Corella, the Director of Public Works. A very nice event, a great park, very well set up. I thought it was a good example because the kids were actually there and some were playing on the equipment while the event was going on, and people were riding by on the CV link, which links with the park. So I thought it was couldn't have been better of an event, and everyone, all the speakers, including a couple of them here on the dais, did a great job too. So it's good. That's off and running. If you haven't visited, it's in the Dream Homes neighborhood, and you should. I haven't made my dog park visit yet, but I have planned to very soon over there. And then that Friday, we had our normal 2x2 meeting with the Parks and Community Events Commission. Usually there's two of us, but I was the only one on council could attend, and there was only one on the commission that could attend. So I was very happy. Of course, the city manager and our communications and vet staff were there. Speaking about kind of closing out some of the things this year and looking forward to next year. So I know there'll be some things coming right now. I think I wanted to share with the council because I was surprised, but the yoga is kind of on hold, because the commission is still debating what to do. Some of them didn't want to move forward without a weekend event, but of course we'll also be joining the Desert Recreation District. I know I was surprised and of course urged the member of the commission that was there to try to make sure that continues. I think that's kind of a jewel in the crown of that, and kind of didn't want to speak for council, but kind of shared that I felt council also felt it was important. So that's why I wanted to share with you, council, because I kind of urged them to try to make sure that we do have a free yoga moving forward for a period of time when the weather is good in the amphitheater. And then I also, of course, along with everyone else, attended this last Tuesday, I guess that was just yesterday, the high school street naming in the morning, both at the Mount San Jacinto and Cathedral City High School. And as my colleague said, it's really great to hear the kids spoke. They were very well spoken, both of them this year, and have great plans to go out and make something of themselves and hopefully bring their skills back to the community. So I just wanted to note, that's it, Mayor. I just wanted to note that our next regular meeting will be canceled as part of our normal summer break, I guess we should say. We kind of break it up into pieces. So we'll be off on June 11th. So our next regular meeting won't be all the way until June 25th. So I hope nobody, gets misses us too much, but we will be back on June 25th with, I'm sure, many, many interesting items. I know that for me, most of my other commissions and committees that I represent the city on, they continue to go through June, so we will still be doing things through June. So we'll have lots of exciting things to report back on, but our next meeting for the city council won't be until June 25th. So with that, I will end my comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Lamb, please.
Great, thank you. The second week in May is Mental Health Awareness Week, and for Cathedral City, we had a presentation. It was sponsored by the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce, and it was at the Mary Pickford Theater, and the presenter was our own Peter Bedard, who represents us on one of the commissions, but he has written a book called The Anxiety Monster, in addition to several other books. But it was just a great presentation, and with two other presenters for that evening. And I had a chance to talk with Aaron Highland, who's on our Parks and Community Events Commission, and we were talking about doing an expanded version of that, in cooperation with Riverside University Health Systems, to make sure that our residents know all the available resources available through Riverside County that they have access to. So that'll be something, and we were talking about doing a 5K run and where to do it. And anyway, we had great ideas, and we're going to be meeting no.
we're going to be running 5K. Anyway, yay, Aaron. And I wanted to read this. We all attended the Esperanza Park, but it was so thrilling. But this quote, and it was John Corella and Andres Perez and Deanna Prescott. I mean, so many people worked so hard to get this off the ground. But this quote was just wonderful because it really captures the essence of what was the park is all about. John says, it has faced delays, denials, and doubts, but through all of this, one thing never changed: the determination of this community to create something lasting for the Dream Homes neighborhood. This isn't just a park, it's a promise. I love that line. It's proof that when people work together, dreams become a reality. And this is a great article in the Desert Sun with pictures of the kids playing and all the stuff, so it was just absolutely wonderful. So it was a thrilling morning. I wasn't able to attend the Memorial Day commemorations at Forest Lawn, but I certainly want to recognize and thank Chief Crum for the wonderful job he did, and for the color guard that was able to be at that. I was able to attend the Memorial Day luncheon through AMVET's Post 66, and it was at Cimarron Cove Golf Resort. And I was able to introduce Major John Spangler, and Major John Spangler he has been a wonderful legislator and was instrumental in getting the monument at the memorial at Desert Memorial Park for us in Cathedral City. So that's why I was asked to do that. But it was just a great opportunity, and I really want to recognize Tom Swan Hernandez because he creates this opportunity for all of us to be together and really recognize those that have sacrificed everything for us. So thank you to him. I also, I just wanted to say that tomorrow we're having the street sign topper reveal, and I want to thank the council for your support for this because it's recognizing Diane Gill and Jane Rasco. Both have passed away, Jane very recently, but we wanted to recognize them as community influencers and folks who truly embody what it means to be a good neighbor because their actions really have transformed the Cove, and I really want to thank them for that. Thank them, in memoriam for their actions. So tomorrow, the street reveal sign topper is at 9 a.m., and there's a celebration of life for Jane at the Cathedral City Senior Center following at 10. And I want to mention this one. On June 7th, we have another Grab and Go event, and I want to thank our Cathedral City Fire Department for putting this together, and they make 20 wonderful Grab and Go buckets. So if your house is on fire or earthquake's happening or something is happening, you can just grab and go. And that's going to be at Agua Caliente Elementary School at 10:30. And prior to that, in the morning, it's the food bank for the Agua Caliente Elementary School community. So that's available. And I want to end with this one note. I was at a doctor's appointment this morning. I'm so glad that they have reminders because I made the appointment a year ago. And I was sitting with a lady, and she said she is a resident of Indio, and she hasn't been, it's like, going to Montana, coming to Cathedral City. It seemed like so far away. But she was here for a doctor's appointment, and she said, Cathedral City is on fire. She goes, you've got Cathedral Cove being built. The casino's in. She saw the new fire department. She and her husband went to Brunch 101. They just had this fabulous time. And I said, the residents, the community, the council, the businesses, the community, we're all working together. So thank you to all of you. And it was completely unsolicited. I was sitting there in my hospital gown waiting for my appointment. So there she was. But thank you for letting me share tonight.
First of all, for those who knew Diane or Jane, the idea of them being called influencers is pretty wonderful. They would have really liked that. We all do a lot. No complaints. We ran for this office. I had 14 citizen interactions. And for the first time in a long time, my husband and I took a 4-day vacation. And on Memorial Day, about midday, I must have been looking off somewhere, and he said, "You're ready to get back to work, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've got some stuff I need to do. We should probably go home now." And so we did. You know, I mean, that's who we are. If we weren't those kind of people, we'd be in the wrong jobs for sure. So I am the chair of the Animal Campus, and I took 3 meetings with them. We are working, and this sounds so obvious, but it isn't. We're working diligently to be somebody who is an organization that is very transparent. And organizations just internally kind of don't want to do that. I don't want to do it either, but it is the right thing to do. We are doing it, and it is really going to change our organization and how we are viewed by the community in a very positive way. So I'm excited about that. I'm the chair of Sunline, and today was our meeting, and you and I probably need to talk because they had their folks up in Sacramento, and they were talking about the rail project, and it didn't sound positive. I was also at Esperanza, just going to say here, check that one off. So we have a couple of commissioners who have worked really diligently to get over and over spay and neuter trucks for our area, and we have done a really great job. I think we're 75 or so animals that have been spayed and neutered at no cost to the citizens. That's always a great benefit, and it helps all the neighbors around those dogs who have now been neutered or spayed. So it's a win-win for everybody. I also went to a celebration of life, and I was at the street signs, and Rita, and I can't believe you didn't tell everybody, we did the awards at the high school. It was so fun. We got to go through lots and lots of applications and pick out who we thought the best 2. They weren't the best 2. They were like a best 20, but we did finally narrow it down to 2 people, a young man and a young lady, and they each received a $1,000 scholarship from Cathedral City. So hopefully that'll go a little ways for them. I was also at the division meeting with Raymond, and you know what? 100 other things. Just know, we work for you every day, many hours. We're always trying to advance our city, and if you have something you think that we have missed or that you'd like to invite us to, reach out, because we're here for you. Thank you very much. And so now we're on the consent agenda 10 hours later. We are there. We are there. Will you please read the consent agenda items for us, please?
Item 3A is to waive full reading of ordinances on the agenda. Item 3B is to approve the May 14th, 2025 study session and regular city council meeting minutes. Item 3C is to approve the expenditure plan appropriating supplemental law enforcement services account for fiscal year 2021 to 2022 allocation for drone as first responder equipment. Item 3D is to adopt a resolution establishing the city's appropriations limit for the fiscal year 2025-2026 GAN initiative limitation. Item 3E is to approve amendment number 1 to the professional services agreement with MSA Consulting related to the design of improvements along Date Palm Drive, CIP number C08671. Item 3F is to approve a 1-year extension for the following service agreements: Unix LLC for traffic signal maintenance and emergency on-call services, Graffiti Protective Coatings Inc. for graffiti abatement services and on-call emergency services, Desert Ants Engineering Inc. for concrete installation, repair, and maintenance services as needed, Student Creative Recycle Art Program, Scrap Gallery for environmental education services. Item 3G is to approve $400 from the 2025-2026 Parks and Community Events Commission small events budget to support the Panorama Dog Park Halloween dog costume event and the Esperanza Dog Park Feliz Navidad dog costume event for 2025. Item 3H is to approve special use permit for the 2025 Battle in the Desert. Item 3I is to ratify the nomination of Alexandra Heckman by Councilmember Rita Lamb to serve on the Historic Preservation Committee and appoint her to fill an unexpired term continuing through June 30th, 2026. And that concludes the consent agenda, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Are there any members of the public who would like to speak on any of the agenda items, please?
I did not receive any request to speak form. If you're a member of the public and you wish to comment on the consent agenda, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
Council, anybody have comments?
Move approval.
Second.
Thank you. Okay.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gregory and a second by Councilmember Carnevale.
All in favor?
Please vote. Oh,
Aye. Come on. Pick your eyes.
and motion carries. All ayes.
Thank you very much. Number 4 is a public hearing, the revocation of conditional use permit number 17-015 for Keeley Road. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Justin Gardner, Code Enforcement Manager, is going to present this item on a particular property where our interactions with them go back, I think, starting in 2020. And so he's going to go through the case with you and the staff recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Nice to see you again.
Pleasure to meet you again as well. It's been so long.
Well, upwards of 45 minutes.
I am also joined today by Code Enforcement Officer, or Code Compliance Officer Clifton Whaley. Come on up, Cliff. As well as Peter J. Nolan of counsel from SBEMP Attorneys. Peter?
Wondered who you were. Saw you sitting back there.
So a little bit of background on this property on Kylie Road. Between the years of 2020 and 2025, this property has been the subject to numerous violations, both through the Cathedral City Municipal Code as well as the Fire Code, among other issues. There has been a continued presence of these issues that keep popping up, and as we'll see throughout the slideshow here, that there has been at times compliance. Ultimately, they continue to exhibit the same behaviors across this time frame. There have been large accumulations of waste, visual blight, also visible from the road right-of-way, and a lot of that storage of the accumulations dangerous or uncontrolled substances, flammable liquids, things of that nature. There have been unsafe electrical connections observed by both code and fire personnel, blocked or sealed egress routes or escape routes, making it dangerous for folks inside this facility, and negligent safety practices observed throughout the property. And across this 5-year period of operation, the business continues to fail to maintain compliance, and I would like to point out there is no valid business operating inside this facility. The first case takes us back to June 3rd of 2020, where Code Compliance operated jointly with the fire department and determined that the property was in violation of multiple Cathedral City fire codes, most of which were fairly dangerous. This case was closed as compliant, as the business owner did make the required, or the property owner did make the required corrective actions. Unfortunately, with this case, we don't have any associated photographs to paint the picture. However, this is just the first of many violations that have continued at this location. Case 2 brings us all the way to January 24th, 2024, where the Code Compliance Department visited the property and found that they were in violation of multiple municipal codes, including hazardous wastes and substances, safety hazards, cannabis issues such as not having a valid cannabis license, no licenses issued by the state nor us, and continued cannabis business operations. Essentially, a illegal or illicit extraction facility has been operating on multiple occasions from this location. In addition to this, they also observed multiple fire codes again, particularly within the scope and quantities exceeding maximum allowable quantities. This request again this case was again closed in compliance, but only after the property owner did request an extension of time to comply with code compliance. We did give them that ability. We allowed the extension. They did bring it back into compliance, and we hoped that they would learn from these past experiences, past mistakes, and cease that type of business activity or that type of illicit activity. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Here are multiple slides showing what we found back in 2024. Here is the accumulation of stuff that they had out back, exposed to the elements. A lot of this material is consistent with extraction material, basically taking THC off of cannabis plants to be used for things like honey oil or other items. There's industrial type equipment that's strewn throughout. You'll see throughout these pictures the 5-gallon trash bags that are full of cannabis product or used cannabis product, stuff that they've already extracted that's now considered waste. They have 50-gallon drums with unknown substances throughout, and all of this stuff was exposed to the elements. So if the rain happened, if the wind happened, if anything, that's going to melt off of that equipment and drain out into our streets and pollute the area. Here you can see a couple 5-gallon jugs full of a mixture of rainwater and whatever kind of substance that they had in there. A lot of it was unidentifiable to us, but obviously not healthy or safe for our community at large.
Excuse me, Justin?
Yes, sir.
Is any of that liquid contaminating the earth? Is it going into the ground? Is it poisonous or damaging to the earth?
I'm not an expert in that field. I can't, without shadow of a doubt, say yes or no. I can say that this stuff was uncontrolled. A lot of it was not vetted because this is not a permitted business. They never went through the processes to show the city that they were doing things correctly or what type of materials were there. A lot of it is caustic or hazardous, but I don't know without shadow of a doubt.
So how are we going to clean that up, or who's responsible for that?
The property owner, ultimately. We can partner with the County of Riverside Environmental Health Department to have them see if they want to test the soil or come out and do concurrent actions with us, but that can also take place after revocation.
Okay, thank you.
Here again, just kind of showing the expanse of the equipment that's been left outside into the elements. More cases of cannabis refuse. And then kind of there, going back to the question you had, council member, as far as is it leaking out, is it dangerous, can it get out there? Absolutely. Here we show wet spots. It could be leftover residual H2O or water or mixed in with some of these chemicals, but we can see clearly that that path leads out to our road right-of-way, and those waterways then lead into, NPDES violations or nothing but rain in the drain. This is obviously not rain. More examples of what was being stored there outside. We have pressurized containers, and then inside we had our illicit extraction facility. So all of this was stuff, we call this a clandestine laboratory. They set it up without the proper permits or licenses, without having any checks or balances. They were just kind of operating as a fly-by-night. Here's a prime example of that blocked egress, where if they did catch fire inside while they were in there operating, their ability to escape safely and quickly is impeded by all of that refuse. We have both pressurized hose line, electrical wires running throughout, more impediment of the egress there with the bags. Just more examples of haphazard electrical wires being ran throughout. Some testing equipment, and then just kind of wrap up, they also had landscaping violations. They never completed their, John, what was it? They never completed their, for the landscaping at Kiley Road? Correct. They didn't complete it. It was part of their CUP and part of what they were supposed to be doing with the property. Just goes to show that even something as simple as maintaining the landscaping was not being done. Fast forward to our most recent case and the most dangerous one, February 2025. This is where Officer Whaley was directly involved. Again, we were called out there actually as a call out from the fire department. It came across, the dispatch came across the radio that thick black smoke was observed coming from the building. That prompted a fire response, which then elevated to a police response, elevated to a code response, and ultimately led to the involvement of the Riverside County Narcotics Task Force coming out and taking control of this. It is still currently an active crime scene, or active case, excuse me. 2 detentions were made that resulted in arrests and criminal charges being pressed against the individuals that were discovered there, because once again, they began their illicit extraction, marijuana extraction operations within this facility. So again, a lot of the same issues were observed time and time again, showing a pattern that this operator has ill intent and has no desire to comply with our codes and standards and do things above board. Fire department issues that were found, again, no permits, quantities, quantity limits for storage, explosion control, flammable liquid storage, all of the extension cords and spaghetti electrical strewn throughout again. It was an absolute fire hazard, which then, thick black smoke was seen coming from the property. Still to date, no business licenses, no cannabis licenses, and no state licenses have been issued to this facility for extraction purposes, and there's no legitimate business being conducted there, or has been for quite some time. I'm going to get into some photographic slideshows here again, and then I have Officer Whaley here present because he actually took these photographs, and he can attest directly if you have questions for what he observed, what he smelled, what he saw while we were there. But it's almost a repeat of the exact same photographs you had seen earlier, just with a different date timestamp. All of that same equipment reemerged back at the property. These 50-gallon drums full of caustic equipment.
I think that was heat transfer oil or something, but you can see it leaking out of the top there, and there was some split on the ground. And I think it was, I'm sorry, that was heat transfer oil that was in those barrels, I believe. And then the outside of the property, it appeared to me to be even worse than the first time. They had a lot of outdoor storage, a lot of equipment, a lot of 55-gallon drums, a lot of trash bags the last time. I believe they had even more this time. I was out at the property during the first one. I was not the officer on the case. I was still pretty fresh there, but I do remember going out to the property. The smell was pretty horrendous. It was a heavy chemical smell, heavy cannabis smell, coming from the property all the way to the public right away, all the way around back and inside, so. And then this is around the back of the building. They had a hose of some kind. They punched a hole through the side of the building. They had a hose running out into a barrel there. It said it was for some kind of water. I'm assuming some kind of waste from the extraction process that they were doing, but completely illegal. More photos of the buckets there. They had, it looks to me to be tincture residue. Tincture is the product that they extract. So it was sitting outside in the elements there, and on top of the barrel there you can see. And then more photos from outside. That's towards the back of the property, towards the north wall, which is in the rear of the property. And then that view right there is from the front door leading in, and you can see that's a up and running cannabis extraction business. Which
Sir, do you have any, did you see any time that you were there that it looks like people live on the property?
So I remember the first time that I went out there and the second time, they had kind of makeshift sleeping rooms set up towards what would be the front of the building, which is the south side, but you go in through the rear there from that direction, and then you head all the way to the front of the building, and they had some makeshift sleeping quarters. There was food, microwaves, things like that, so. More photos from inside. That's just inside the door. They had, and the inside of the facility as well as the outside looked to me to be worse than the first time. There was a lot more tincture, a lot more residue splattered all over the floors. It was on the walls. It was pretty much everywhere. The equipment was up and running. I don't know what each piece of equipment was used for, but I know that it was up and running. I could hear the engine or the fans running inside the equipment. There's just another photo you can see on the wall on the right photo, that splatter. They had pieces of cardboard kind of set up, it looks like, to stop the splatter, but it didn't do much. And more photos from inside. There were a lot more buckets this time inside filled with a lot of residue. I'm not sure why that was this time, but it just appears like they got worse and worse every time. We'd come out and make contact with them. They'd make corrections, but then they'd get worse each time. That's looking out. So on the left photo, I'm standing back, I'm looking out the front door, and then that other photo is me turned around. There's a large vat, and you can see underneath there's buckets collecting that residue on the bottom there. Again, more photos inside. They had a lot of the Home Depot buckets filled with residue. A lot more trash bags inside this time, as well as outside from cannabis waste. And more photos. So when you first enter the property, you see the lab equipment and whatnot. And this is moving further down on the right-hand side there. You can see the equipment set up, or I'm sorry, the left-hand side it would be as you're coming in the front door. So this is a picture, electrical wires strewn throughout the building. That's a code violation. You can't have electrical wires strewn all the way throughout the building as permanent electrical. It's a fire hazard. Again, looking out the front door there, and just more lab equipment set up. That is, if you look on the left photo, they had straps, and then they had extension cords running over the straps, and that was all throughout the facility there. So.
Thank you, Officer Whaley. So it is clear to us at Code Compliance that this property owner presents a clear and present danger to the overall public health and safety of our community. We have gone through all of our due process. We have worked with Peter Nolan of counsel from SBEMP attorneys to ensure that all of the due process and notifications were met in a timely manner. We've mailed notices to the property owner. We've notified all of the businesses within a certain radius. We've posted this for the public hearing. We've even published it in the local newspaper. So we've gone through all of our requirements for notification of due process, And pending any questions, it is staff's recommendation that council move to adopt a resolution revoking the conditional use permit 17015 for this business.
Thank you very much. Council, questions, comments?
So you mentioned that the third incident started as a fire response. Were you able to determine where the black smoke was coming from?
There was those buckets in the back, there was a container out back, if I remember correctly, full of, I don't know for sure if it was tincture, but it was a dark brown liquid. And when it was tested, that's what some of that testing equipment was. I believe it was upwards of 230 degrees, and that's what was causing it to smoke. It didn't actually spark and catch fire, but it was emitting that.
But it was smoking off of the substances.
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
So I take it the operator is not the owner of the property, is that correct?
That's correct.
So is there going to be another process now to have this property owner come to a compliance and have this all cleaned up? And
This is that system. By revoking their conditional use permit, it shall prevent them from ever having this type of a business in there ever again.
So it'll have to be removed, everything have to be removed, all the
So
equipment?
all of the equipment has already been removed or seized as part of the investigation from the Riverside County Narcotics Task Force. So as of now, the property, upon our last inspection, has been clean and cleared. But what we want to do is ensure that this type of business, a cannabis business, can never again operate inside that facility.
Okay, yeah, my concern too is all the leftover debris and chemicals. Are you
can-
going to give the property owner some time, concrete time to remove
We can
them?
run that as an additional code case, separate of this. We've gotten zero response this time around through any of our notices for this case. We've sent notices of violation, and we've worked the code case as we would typically do, and have received no response from the property owner to date for this particular case.
Good luck
So
with that.
likely what would happen is we would run an abatement through an abatement warrant if necessary to go in and clean up and hit them with the bill if they choose not to continue to respond.
Maybe we can get Burtech to come out there and pick it up, huh?
Justin,
No?
I think, can you clarify to the council member, I think the concern is that all of that toxic waste is still on the property, but I believe what you've said is that as a part of the investigation, that all of that toxic material has already been removed from the site.
Correct. So everything that's
Has been
there,
removed.
visible in those
Okay.
pictures, what we would be going after now is if there was any type of residue or spillage that needed to be addressed. But everything that was in those pictures has been removed.
Thanks, Ann, for that.
Thank you very much.
So you keep saying you revoked the CUP, a cannabis business could never go there again. Is that true, or they would just have to start from scratch?
We would like to see that that facility no longer be used for cannabis.
Is that an ordinance?
But under the law, I mean, a property owner could apply in the future.
Right, that's why when you keep saying that, I keep thinking, well, okay, if it's in an area that's zoned correctly and a new owner came and bought it and would start from scratch again. So-
My apologies, correction. We'd like to see this particular business owner or property owner not be able to operate this type of business.
I got you, but we're not putting a hex on the property, we're just taking our legal action that we need to
Yes.
do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember?
He already asked my question.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. And
I just thought, is there a cost from the county that goes to the owner that puts a lien on that property? Or how, in other words, that seems like a big, huge function to move all that stuff out. So does that become something that the county does and then ultimately the owner has a lien, or no?
So I'll take this question.
Okay.
The city incurred $48,000 in costs as part of the cleanup and the response to this incident. That is a cost that we can pursue against the property owner as a lien through the code compliance action.
Okay, thank you.
And I guess I just need a clarification. So the person who's running the business is not the property owner, and you're sure of that? That's two different entities? Okay, thank you so much. So I think that's all of our questions. Is that right? No more questions? Great. Thank you, gentlemen, so very much. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public who wish to comment on this item?
Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms. If you're a member of the public and you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
Thank you so much. So at this time, I will close the public hearing. Are there any additional comments from council? Great.
Move for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, I guess we're going to have a vote. We're going to have a vote.
And that was a motion by Councilmember Gutierrez, correct?
Yes.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem? Please vote.
My little votey didn't come up. Why are you pitching? Did I close? No. No, let me try it again. Let me just open this back up then. Okay. I have to wait for this to come up now. Hold tight. We're getting there. Maybe. There we go. Thank you. And thank you,
Motion
Mayor Pro
carries.
Tem.
All ayes.
Thank you so very much. Item B today is the 25-26 rate increase request for solid waste and recycling collection for residential, commercial, and roll-off services.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Deanna Pressgrove is here to present this item. You saw it in study session 2 weeks ago, so she'll give a abbreviated presentation, but is happy to answer any questions that you may have, and the Burtec officials are here also. Hi.
Good evening.
Hi, thank you, Charlie. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Deanna Pressgrove, your Environmental Conservation Manager, and as the City Manager stated, I am going to discuss the rate increase request on the collection of solid waste and recycling services for residential, commercial, and roll-off accounts. So according to our franchise agreement with Burtec, they are allowed annually to ask for a CPI increase based off of the water, sewer, and trash collection services. And for calendar year 2024 to 2025, the increase was 4.43%. The County of Riverside increase on the cost per ton of disposal at the County of landfills this year is increasing from $64.48 to $67.33 per ton, which is effective July 1st, 2025. And then the annual net recycling adjustment, which is an adjustment based on several components associated with recycling, such as processing, transportation, and recycling prices. How does this affect our customers? For commercial customers, an average 3-yard container serviced once a week. That is our average for our commercial customers, as you can see here in the picture. If approved, the commercial rate increase for a 3-yard container serviced one time per week would be $9.46 per month, and that would be effective July 1st, 2025. Burtec bills our commercial customers directly for their services, and this chart below gives you an idea of what the increase would be for the other sizes that our commercial customers can order. Residential customers, and as a reminder, our residents are billed on their property tax bill, and that is effective for calendar year. So this increase, if approved, would affect or they would see it on their January through December 2026 property tax bill, and they would see an increase of $1.63 per month or $19.56 annually, and the rate that they should see on their property tax assessment should be $32.43 a month. And here's a summary of the programs that are included within this rate. Our residential customers get their weekly 96-gallon trash recycling organics cart. We get their kitchen pails with their liners. They get the additional 1 recycling and organics cart at no additional charge. Bulky item collection, which is our 4 items per week. That applies to all of our residents, commercial and our commercial accounts. Then some of our special, unique residential programs are special services provided for disabled persons, which is our backyard where they'll actually, Burtec will go up and pick the cart up for them and bring it to the curb and then put it back. And then our holiday Christmas tree recycling. In addition, our multifamily and commercial customers, they get free trash enclosure signage, educational brochures. It's very important that we work on contamination at our multifamily communities. So we're going to really be ramping up education over the next couple of years because it is something that that we need to stay on top of. And then our SB 1383 on-site waste and recycling audits. Again, there's no charge for these additional services. Our popular environmental education programs, the Scrap Gallery, the garden and composting programs, which we have at some of our 55 and older communities in all of our schools, and then our popular community shredding events, which is the first Saturday of each month, October through May. We also have shred carts at our 55 and older communities in our senior center, so they don't have to come to the monthly event. Our weekly Tuesday event, still very popular. That's the unwanted medication, sharps, needles, electronics, tires, and batteries every Tuesday from 1 to 2:30. Our community outreach mailers, our community mailers, which will be bigger this year. They're mailed out twice annually in the fall and then in the winter and spring. Then our Water Smart Landscaping Grant Program, which is $1,000 for our residents, and then also our HOAs can now participate. Monthly residential street sweeping program, our illegal dumping, and our community assistance cleanup programs. In summary, our residential customers on the property tax roll, if approved, the rate would, for calendar year 2026, would be $32.43. Commercial customers would see, if they have the 3-yard container service once a week, would see an increase of approximately $9.46 per month. That would be effective July 1st, 2025. Fiscal impact, this rate increase is paid by the customers. The city will receive its share of the 4.43% CPI referenced in the report. Strategic plan goal, goal C, fiscal stability and sustainability, goal F, embracing inclusive community. And then the recommendation would be to hold a public hearing, consider any protest. To date, I received 3 protests, from all 3 from residential customers, none from commercial. And the next step would be to approve the 2025-2026 tax year rate increase for the collection, recycling, and disposal of municipal solid waste for commercial, residential, and roll-off services, and approve a resolution approving the tax roll billing for residential services, which is required by the county. The resolution is required by the county to add the rates to the property tax bill annually. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much. At this time, I will close public hearing. Are there any comments from council? Oh, no, we had already opened it. It's time to close it. We did. We did. Let me get back to it. We did, right. Oh, well, that's the only thing I have is closing. No, it's right here. At this time, I will open the public hearing, and I did. Right there. Okay. And then we call to the next city clerk.
So, Mayor, yes, so now's the time to open the public hearing, and we'll take public comments.
What was the last thing here that we opened? Under the increase request for solid waste, are there questions to council, and then at this time, I will open the public hearing.
Yes.
And I had that then. Now we're 3 things beyond. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and just do that then.
So, Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms. If you're a member of the public and you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
I will also note that if anyone has a protest that they would like to make orally or in writing, they could do so at this time. If not, that will close the protest hearing or period.
I see none.
Okay, so now we can close the public hearing, and we will accept the comments from council. Anybody have anything to share?
No, I would just thank Deanna Presgrove for her very active management of this program and making sure that the citizens of Cathedral City, both the residential and the commercial, that they receive good value for the dollars that they are paying. And of course, I also thank our partner, Burtech, for their continued restraint, but also as far as the finances, but also making sure that we all get good service.
I'd like to echo that as well. I mean, it's really a pleasure doing business with Burtech. Their drivers are very safe and courteous on the roads. I see them a lot. And especially the new trucks look really, really great. Nice and clean, so great job. Give our best to Frank and Mike. And thank
I
you.
would just like to shove a little thing in. Can I get some of the info on the gated community opportunities that I haven't seen before? Well, I didn't mean verbally. I just meant, Sonny, if you had a pamphlet or something that I could show.
Oh, I sure can. And you're talking about well, any gated community.
Any
So we
gated
do
community.
community cleanups there. We do any ideas
But
that
you
you
were
have.
talking about like maybe yard changeovers, to pull the grass out.
Oh, yes.
We hadn't offered that before in gated communities.
Yes, we haven't. So yes, our multifamily communities are allowed $1,000 up to $20,000 per community for the conversion of landscaping in front of their homes within their HOA, not the common areas, but the homes. And they
Well, I
can
can't
contact.
promise that we'd get everybody on board, but I think a lot of people would like to take advantage
Yes, and
of
what
they
I can do is, I did one after you approved it last year. I can do another mailer out to the boards of the HOAs and the management companies to make sure they're aware of the program.
I'm sure that would be helpful. Thank you
Yeah.
so very much.
You're welcome.
Are there any further comments from council?
Yes, I also would like to say that Burtec does an amazing job for our residents, and I just don't know how you can provide all those services with a minimal price increase and what you charge. Great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, so do we have a motion to approve?
Move approval?
All in favor?
So we have a motion by Councilmember Gutierrez and a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote. And motion carries, all ayes.
Thank you very much. Thank you all, ladies. The next is a legislative action, number 5, the first reading of an ordinance to adopt the 2025 citywide speed limit survey. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Armando Valtizone, your city engineer, will be presenting this item. This is a follow-up to an item that you heard in study session 2 weeks ago. And the good news is they listened to your comments 2 weeks ago, worked with the traffic engineers on this, and were able to resolve the issues, resulting in an amended recommendation. Armando.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council members. Today I will be presenting the first reading to an ordinance adopting the 2025 citywide speed limit surveys based on the findings from the updated engineering and traffic survey. The traffic survey was conducted by Albert Webb, following the requirements and methodology outlined in the California Vehicle Code, and also the guidelines provided to set speed limit by the Department of Transportation. At the study session on May 14, staff presented a draft report with 11 segments for 11 segments for speed limit modifications. Highlighted in this slide are the 2 segments that the council raised some concerns and requested to be reevaluated. In addition, council requested to look at 4 segments, 3 on Vista Chino and 1 on Day Palm Drive, for a reduction of speed limits, From all the review segments, Whispering Palms Trail required additional analysis before a formal recommendation can be made. The segment is qualified to be postponed for a speed survey to a later date, and therefore is not included in the final traffic survey. The final study was presented to the Planning Commission on May 21st with council recommendations. The Planning Commission recommended that the traffic survey for adoption as presented, and they suggested to increase the speed limit on Cathedral Canyon Drive from Kings Road to Terrace Road. We look at the segment with the traffic engineer, and after his evaluation, he recommended to maintain at 25 miles per hour due to the residential character of the area, and that we are following his recommendation in the speed limit survey. So in summary, 73 roadway segments were evaluated, 13 roadway segments are recommended for speed limit modifications, all of them including the ones that the council recommended. This is the list of the 13 segments recommended for speed limit modifications that are going to be that are outlined in the report and also in the ordinance, together with all those segments that do not require modification but need to be updated according to the California Building Code.
And on that particular slide, back.
I can go back.
The only one that went up was Santoro Drive, is that correct? Everything else was
Toro
reduced.
Drive is the only one that went up.
Thank you.
So in order to implement these changes, we will need to remove and replace approximately 80 speed limit signs. The total estimated cost is in the order of $20,000 and include 20% contingency. The study aligns with the 5-year strategic plan. Goal is safety, just promoting technology, promoting the public safety. And the staff recommendation is to introduce and provide the first reading by title only to an ordinance adopting the engineering and traffic survey by Albert Webb and Associates, establishing the 2025 citywide speed limit in Cathedral City. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much.
I'll
Hang
get
out,
back
let's
to
see
you.
if they have questions for you. Any questions?
I just have one question. In one of the slides, you have that this $20,000 will be paid for out of what funds?
The funds are from the Public Works Division, and the funds are 241, the Public Works gas tax, and also Public Works maintenance and operating budget, Measure A, Fund 243.
Thank you.
Just like to quickly thank you for your good work on this and working with Albert Webb, and thank them for listening to us and reevaluating those parcels that we had information on. And I think it does show that that the changes in the state law, we're able to use them to try to make our city safer. And I know it's more work for you and even for Public Works to address that, but I think we'll see benefits, many benefits for years to come from this. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you for being a good part of a team. It really took a village to get this done, but I do appreciate your efforts, and I thought we had a pretty good end result. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anything? Mr. Carnevale? All right, so at this point, are there any members of the public who would wish to speak? I don't see anybody from the public.
Mayor, I did not receive any requests to speak forums, and we currently have no attendees in the meeting.
Thank you. And are there, no, we're not even near the back of that. So do we have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
All in favor, here we
I have
go.
a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gregory, a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote. And motion carries. All ayes. And I'll go ahead and read the title of the ordinance.
Thank you.
This is an ordinance of the City of Cathedral City amending Section 12.20.010 of the Cathedral City Municipal Code relating to the designation of special speed limits in 2025.
Thank you so much. Next is item legislative action B. It's first reading of an ordinance adopting the revised fire hazard severity zones FHSZ map. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This, too, is an item that you saw in study session a meeting or two ago, and it is an action required by the state. And the good news on this one is that nowhere in Cathedral City is it rated above a moderate fire zone, and Chief Contreras will present this item for you.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor and Council, this will be a quick one. If you remember, on April 23rd, I came and gave a presentation on what the maps are, how they were mandated through the state of California, and as the city manager said, we dropped in the one area to moderate. To recap a little bit, this is mandated, and this is the first reading. We'll be back one more time for the second reading. That's the end of my presentation. I'll entertain any questions.
Council, questions?
I do have a question. Now, an insurance company owner just mentioned that one of his clients told him that his insurance was going to be increased because it was in a high zone fire area. What can they do to actually provide this information to the insurer and say, no, we are not in a high fire zone hazardous area?
So if they're in Cathedral City, they can provide this map. What the state has told us fire chiefs. This has been ongoing for a year plus. What they say is the insurance company uses a different formula versus the maps. But as far as to be able to show his insurance agent, he can take this map right here. This is a state map that is provided, and he can show it right to the insurance agent.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We also got jumped in Palm Springs for firehouse. We got our thing. Anything more from council? I don't see any members of the public.
We have none.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
So, are there?
Move approval.
Thank you.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gregory, a second by Councilmember Lamb. Please vote.
Wonderful.
And motion carries, all ayes. I'll now read the title. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Cathedral City amending Section 8.12.070 of the Cathedral City Municipal Code to reflect the current fire hazard severity zones as recommended by the Director of the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection in coordination with the Office of the State Fire Marshal.
Thank you very much. The next item is item C. I see you standing in the doorway. Approval of fiscal year 25-26 and 26-27 biennial budget.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is the final step in the 6-month-long process to develop the budget for the next 2 years. Kevin Biersack, your Financial Services Director, will give you an abbreviated presentation since you've seen this many times. And the only thing I do need to point out is I think because you're acting as the board for various different agencies through this, that each of the resolutions requires a separate vote.
That is correct, sir. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff, interested parties out there in wherever land. We are at our meeting number 12 with respect to the budget process. As the city manager said, the last 6 months. So as we go along, questions, answers, as we go along are safe to the end. You've seen this slide. This is our 6-month process. These are the 12 times we've been before you, starting in January, to tie back to what our original goals were with respect to our timeline. We had those wonderful Wednesday afternoon meetings that you all enjoy, which, by the way, is really good stuff, and we embrace it because it really is a good education process, not just for you all, but for us. And then with respect to when we come and see you and talk to you in April in study session mode, and in May when we bring to you our proposed budget and hopefully adopted budget this evening. The fiscal impact was in the agenda report that was attached, and that ties back to in year 1, we are looking at $70.8 million in revenues forecasted, projected, budgeted, versus $76.6 million in expenditures. What is noteworthy of that $5.7 million deficit, it includes about $4.7 million in discretionary, one-time, extraordinary expenditures. In year 2 of the budget, that's where we get closer to the budget balancing exercise from a standpoint of $73.5 million in revenues forecasted in year 2 versus $78 million in expenditures. That net deficit is projected to be at $4.5 million, but you'll note that at $4.4 million, or 98% or thereabouts, as we discussed 2 weeks ago, is what we will have in extraordinary one-time expenditures. One thing of note, back on the consent agenda earlier this evening, you approved the GAN limit. The GAN limit is a companion piece that we bring to you separately, and that's a computation that our accountants do. Valerie does that. She's the primary behind that, and we present that to you, but that gets coupled in with this budget, but we present it to you as a separate action. This budget ties back to our 5-year strategic plan, Goal C, and our overall objective. 2-part recommendation. Normally you just have 1 slide, but you have 2, and this ties back to what the city manager said with respect to get out your pens and pencils for your voting or chicken scratch, however you like to do it. Number 1 is tonight we hope that you approve the FY 25-26 and 26-27 proposed biennial budget. And that ties back to this second slide. First, you will have a resolution by the City Council for the budget for the 2 years. Second, by the board of the Cathedral City PFA or Public Financing Authority for its budget, which is contained within. A third resolution is for the Housing Successor Agency approving a budget for the upcoming 2 years. The fourth resolution is for the Cathedral City Redevelopment Agency, the successor to that redevelopment agency, approving a budget for the upcoming fiscal years. So those four are the four budget resolutions, and then the final resolution is the resolution for the plans, for the Capital Improvement Project Plan and the Parks Improvement Plan. Any questions?
That's all? Nope. No? Are there any members of the public that have come behind him that I can't see?
We have no members present, Mayor, so no public comments.
So we are going to have a motion, but one by one.
All right, so I will move to approve the resolution of the city council for that budget for the next 2 fiscal years.
I second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do roll call votes on these. Councilmember Carnevale? Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Ross? Motion carries all ayes.
So I move to approve the resolution by the board of the Cathedral City Public Financing Authority for their budget for the next 2 fiscal years.
Roll call. Councilmember Carnevale?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Ross? Yes. Motion carries all ayes.
So I would move to approve the resolution as the City of Cathedral City sitting as a housing successor agency approving the budget for the next 2 fiscal years.
Roll call. Councilmember Carnevale?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Ross? Motion carries all ayes.
And I move to approve the resolution by the successor agency to the Cathedral City Redevelopment Agency approving the budget for the next 2 years.
Roll call. Councilmember Carnevale?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Ross? Motion carries all ayes.
And I move to approve a resolution by the City Council of Cathedral City approving the Capital Improvement Project Plan and the Parks Improvement Program Plan for the next 2 fiscal years.
Roll call. Councilmember Carnevale?
Aye.
Councilmember Lamb? Councilmember Gutierrez?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gregory?
Yes.
Mayor Ross? Motion carries all ayes.
So much. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You won't hear the words budget for at least 4 more weeks, till our next council
Can we
meeting.
make it that long? Can we? Can we really? We might come over. So we are coming to the end here. Does anybody have a discussion on a future agenda item, please?
No, none.
Councilmember. That's a no. And so we will be adjourning back into closed session. But before we go, we will just remind you that our next city council meeting will be held on the 25th of June, and the meeting is adjourned. Well, it isn't adjourned. We'll have to come back for an adjournment.
Technically, Mayor, we're just going to recess into closed session. We'll come back afterwards and
Okay,
adjourn.
sounds great.
And all those techie terms, I know.
You're going to miss us.